We're going live. One moment, it's almost done setting up.
I'm not watching.
No worries. And we're live. We press done. Awesome. So nice to have you here.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Everyone, this is my friend Dallas, my
Hello.
great guide buddy. And before we start, this morning I have woken up before the sunrise, and it was pressing for me to get up and to pray. And I have a friend who's in Africa who has been pushing me to the Quran. And ironically, last night I randomly opened my book, and it mentioned exactly where my finger pointed to pray in the morning before the sun comes up, and to pray at night before bed, and to exalt him right before bed. And this is exactly what my friend Muhammad in Africa said. And Dallas, I thought that you would find entertainment in the random line.
Okay.
The irony of where I landed. Okay, so I'm on Surah 10, number 35. It says, "Say, are there of you partners? Any who guides to the truth? Say, Allah guides to the truth. So is he who guides to the truth more worthy to be followed, or he who guides not unless he is guided? Then what is wrong with you? How do you judge? And most of them follow not except assumption. Indeed, assumption avails not against the truth at all. Indeed, Allah is knowing of what they do." So, Salah, shall we ponder this phrase? I just thought it was interesting that there was quotation marks around partner, because we have always identified as being dive partners.
Yeah.
And this is just amazing. So, Dallas, I just want to highlight how many amazing dives we have had together. Like from taking me to for my first time, what's that place? Devil's Den. Oh my God, Devil's Den. Showing me Alexander Springs, which basically took me into my first cave, which I never thought would happen, especially after having certain conversations with John Jay. But I'm just gonna clear the space and let you speak, and here we go.
Well, I feel honored, fortunate, and all of that. What you just read was quite touching, actually. I mean, I should say me, just reflecting back on a few things now that we have gone through together. It's just, it's quite a journey. And it's just strange how things are just working out, I'll say. And so in that, the passage you read, is fitting, and it just confirms something that, I've grown to know a lot more. And you've helped me with, that growth is just becoming aware, of your spirit, and that's been very important to me. And so I appreciate what you've just shared and all that you've always shared.
I have to, with all due respect, I have to also reclaim that it's not something that I am ever saying that is me. You know what I mean? When I was guided to share the scripture with you and to make sure that you get to hear that, and said it was just me reading it before coming here, something was pressing on my spirit. It's calling me to share that with you. So I'm glad that it touched you. The second thing I want to touch is there might be some people here that are typing in the comments since we're live. I just want people to know that we can't really see those comments right now.
Yeah,
and
I'm not even.
Accept that as part of our interviews, because that's probably how it's going to be every interview in the future. So basically, this is just conversation between two friends, catching up, video chatting.
Yeah. This is more like just a catching up session, or I've always thought of, I'm big in sports, obviously. So like a radio show or something like that, except that now that we can see each other. And here's my distraction. Hold on just a second.
Cool.
Here's Roxy.
Hello.
Here's Roxy. Hello, Roxy girl. Now I can't get rid of her.
I have no doubt in my mind that we could actually talk to animals. I mean, we can clearly have like the relationship that we have. You know, you have that bond with that bird, and people would say that the bird has no soul, it has no life. Well, look at the
well,
personality.
I can certainly share some things with you that are quite touchy, but yeah, they do. I mean, they have personalities and souls. I mean, they're beings too, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's she's amazing. That's for sure. She's an
She's
amazing
definitely
person.
cool.
I say person. It's my baby. So,
That's precious.
yeah, yeah. She's something else. So I've had her for about, ooh, I think she's like 13, 14 years old now.
Oh wow. How long
Yeah.
do they normally live?
Um, Upwards of 60 years.
Oh
They can.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, they can live a long time. Very long time. So
What do you think that this means? Like
oh,
is she like
interesting,
curious?
curious. I mean, attentive, something, catches her attention, excitement. I mean, all kinds of things.
Do you think she can see and understand the screen?
Certain things probably, you know. I know it's kind of new, to her looking at it, but in all honesty, as long as she's close or she can see me, she's pretty calm. She likes to be around anybody, people. She loves people. So anybody who will pay her some attention, she's okay with.
Do you ever take her outside?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Right now, as a matter of fact, I don't have her. I got to get her wings clipped up, but well, yeah, I'll take her outside. She'll normally just sit on my shoulder and.
I was wondering if that might be what she's agitated about. Maybe she's like, I want to go out.
Yeah, well, she actually walks around the house quite a bit more than I care to admit sometimes. But she plays this game. I call it a game anyway, and she likes to hide and burrow. Like maybe I've got a pile of laundry on the floor or something like that, and she'll just hide in my clothes. And it's sometimes hard to dig her out of there too. So she does that quite a bit. So
That's pretty cute. Have you ever taken her to like places like in the parks or something like that, like outside?
no, but a few years ago, my wife Gilda and we actually took her to a daycare center, and we I gave like a little presentation to a daycare class, about the bird, and let them pet her and handle her, and it was actually quite an awesome experience. It was just something actually I'd like to kind of do again.
Oh wow, that's awesome. When I was little, I kind of did something like that. I used to have a pet possum named Templeton, and I used to just get all kinds of like shock from people. And then I like realized like, hey, I should get out with this thing and educate people, because they think that they're rodents and that they have diseases and that they bite and all these things like that were just like totally not true. And that was like definitely a highlight of mine. Another question I had. I wanted to, I'm sorry, I just have this nerdy question that's like, I have to ask, what was the bird's reaction to being in the car? Or is it in a cat carrier like a dog, or?
Look at her.
Headbanger.
Right there. She's actually pretty happy.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you hear my question about how how did Roxy, it's okay, how did Roxy respond to being in the car?
Come on, you. She's getting a little rambunctious right now. Forgive me.
It's okay. Do I need to repeat the question, or
yes,
did you hear?
Please.
Oh, how did Roxy respond to the car drive, and like what did you have to do to transport her? Did she have to go into like a cat carrier kind of thing?
Yeah, I did. I do have a carrier for her. Yeah. So yeah, and she's pretty calm, in it. So as long as it's big enough, she and you can carry it. Yeah, she's pretty calm riding.
It sounds like she's talking to you right now, like.
Yeah, she's chattering here. She's pretty active right now, so I'm gonna actually have to go put her away. I think she's getting
okay.
Yeah, so
no problem. Take your time. No problem. I'm enjoying the water. I have about 4 pounds of salt in the water, so I'm not able to really open my eyes. And I have this product that I am concerned might have chemicals in it. It was like bottled flowers. However, I wanted to use up the rest of my product. So that's what you see floating around.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, it's totally okay. I was just explaining that, like, I can't open my eyes underwater. I have a lot of salt, and I'm trying out this product, and which is like the flower stuff, but I don't think I'll be using this again. But was there anything in particular that had come to mind when you agreed to come here today? Like, is there some kind of story, or what was pressing on your heart to for you to be the second person that I interview ever?
I don't know. I mean, I just, again, I miss you. So it was just kind of catching up, we've both gone through a lot, and again, it's just a means of catching up. Going back through, since you had left, again, the journey that I think both of us have taken, it's just been amazing, and the growth, I think in both of us, it's kind of a bigger picture, a larger story. The passage you shared also applies to that, I believe, and so I think it's just, from both of us, I think we're just kind and sharing people. And if this helps anyone else, just to be a little bit more kind and sharing, I think that's a good thing.
Oh my God. My shower curtain just came down and scared me. I have it like posted up high. I have great missing of you too, and I miss the water. I don't know if I ever shared with you personally, but like when I first moved to Washington, like I had this meditation, or meditation in motion, or whatever you want to call it, but it just dawned on me, like I didn't realize the last time I had saw my friends was the last time I saw my friends, and I cried and I cried. I was like, I don't want to be the last time I see Dallas and I go diving. And like in the moment, of course, like I'm serious, I'm like, oh my God. Oh, it's like, and all the people that I couldn't remember, kind of thing, like people that I just had in passing, or just show up, but that God blesses me just in the ironic perfect timings kind of thing. And that was very heavy for me. And like I remember that all the time. So with that memory, I try, like every single time I have a moment with someone, I'm like, this is your moment. This is your moment. This is your moment. Yeah. Enjoy it now. And then exactly. Another thing that came up was, if you feel comfortable, is what drew you to the water? What was your first experience? I wish you could hear my dad's story of him being at the bottom of the pool with soda bottles. I don't know if he's told you that story, but
no, I don't remember that one.
You would laugh. Maybe you can have that conversation with him, but he really has always loved the water since he was a baby too. So I wanted to know, like, what's your first memory of loving the water, or how would you describe that story? How did that happen for you? Because you love the water more than almost anybody I've ever met. in person.
Well, I mean, I've always said that about myself. In fact, that I love the water more than anybody else I've ever known.
Maybe you are the spirit of the water incarnated.
It's weird, but I never really thought about the first time. I do actually will mention my youngest brother. He actually learned how to swim before I did.
Oh.
We used to always go to the local pool back as when we were kids. And one day I just remember this one time where he jumped into the deep end, swam in. I used to play around, on the edge of the pool. And just one day I just decided, doggone it, he can't be swimming better than me. I'm older. He probably might not even remember this. I don't have to tell you, but so I, just jumped in. I mean, jumped into the, off the 3-meter board. Into the 12 feet.
Just jumped into the deep end.
Yeah, just jumped in. I actually made it to the to like the shallow end, and I think my brother was even kind of surprised because I had never done that before. And I mean, literally for me, that was it. That was it. And from then on, I always say that it's no place I'd rather be.
What about the scuba diving part? When did that become part of your life?
Oh my goodness. That is quite a story for me
Because
anyway.
that's like a big like two different things, right? Like from going to the swimming pool to saying, okay, I'm gonna sit at the bottom of the water for like an hour or whatever.
It was kind of weird. I mean, back, I mean, this is a long time ago.
What year would you say? Yes.
Well, I mean, growing up, I always, was interested in anything that, showed somebody underwater. All the old sea hunt movies and all of that. I paid attention to all of that. But the scuba diving for me, I mean, it used to be sort of like when somebody cuts you off and when you're driving, right? It just kind of, when people would say, well, you can't breathe underwater. I'm like, well, yeah, you can. You just have to use equipment. That's all. It just takes a little bit more to do, but you can do this, and that just bothered me, and then I thought to myself, well, if I'm saying this, why can't I do it? It took me a long, 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 long time to actually take up scuba diving, but I finally did it. It was always there, and I can remember this one story, in fact, that brought me to Florida, which was, when I joined the Air Force. I can remember leaving, going for work. It happened to be a particular weekend, and a person was getting his dive gear into his car, is going for a dive. And I asked him, I says, where are you going diving? And he mentioned the place, and that stuck with me. He went on to dive. I went on to work. I saw him later. Didn't even ask him about his dive, but I always, that image of him just putting all this stuff in his car, stuck with me. And so I just kept that in my mind. And finally, met people all along the way, who actually were divers, and I just never had done it. Finally, I got to Denver, Colorado, is actually where I learned to dive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And how I chose the dive store that I went to. I may have shared the story with you. It's pretty boring, but anyway. The store actually named Denver Divers. The street that it was on was called named Milwaukee Street. Milwaukee is my hometown, where I was born.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's where I was born. Family's still there and all that.
Wow.
And so I went into the dive store, and the guy looked at me, and he's kind of knew that I was kind of hesitant, didn't want to really commit at that point in time. And then he handed me this coin, and this coin had letters on it, TUIT. And so he gave me that coin. He says, when you're ready, you come back and give me this coin back when you're ready to dive. I can't even remember the time frame that elapsed, but I did go back to that very store, saw him, gave him the coin, and he said,
what was the coin? Like, was it like a military coin or?
No, it just had these 4 letters on it, TUIT. And he asked me, he says, do you know why I gave you this coin? I says, no, I have no idea. He says, well, now that you're here, he actually gave me a huge discount on the price of the scuba certification. And he says, because you brought this coin back, you finally got around to it.
Oh my God, dude! Dude!
And that was just there. And had the story of how I finally got the, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Let's get some to it coins and like pass
around to
it. Wow. Wow.
I know, it's crazy, but true. So yeah, and I've been, like I said, hooked ever since.
Wow, that's beautiful. I really do love that story. I have been trying to like I've been trying to play with like Zoom a little bit. I'm trying to figure out like how I can put us side by side, but I haven't really figured out how to do that on the phone. Like, I'm pretty sure that right now on the live stream that it's like switching back and forth between whoever's talking.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
really know this. I haven't actually watched the first episode that I did, so I don't really know that. But I know that there is a way to change those things. So I'd like to play that later. But I was kind of messing around with this, trying to figure out a way to do that.
I will offer any services I can if you want to kind of experiment, with some things.
Yeah, I have to do that another time.
I understand.
Yeah. I just again, I've been trying to learn these settings, or maybe it's just not available on the phone or something to modify that, but it's definitely available on the computer. So I am planning on playing around with that. So maybe not every episode will be in the tub, or I haven't figured out what I'm doing as far as
I understand. Yeah. I mean, this is a growing process too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It'd be funny to have almost different segments, maybe we'll have different chapters, like Trina in the tub. It's going to be, maybe psychic stuff and mystical. I don't even know, I'm just playing around right now, just having some fun, catching up with some friends.
Yeah. 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 I got to tell you though, that, in my line of work, some of this stuff I kind of, grew up doing, with the technology and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I've kind of been I'd say a reluctant participant, I do it for others because it benefits them. But I had
artificial intelligence.
Well, that type of stuff. And I mean, all kinds of, technology these days.
Oh, okay.
But, even with this, something, like Zoom, I mean, doggone it, people at work have meetings and stuff like that, and I go set it up for them, and don't even pay attention to it. Now I can't even figure out how it works. So I get like that too, and I always say that especially when I try to help people at work, fixing something, I always try to look at it from their point of view, to where I'm a customer too to someone. Sometimes I have issues and troubles with computers and whatnot that I can't solve on my own, and I have to ask questions, and I need help too. So that humbles me quite a bit, realizing that it happens to me. So, I'm always, trying to be open-minded about things and just, kind of relax, but again, sometimes I kind of go, I don't need it. I don't want it. It's that little rebellion in it, but no, technology is important. We use it, we have fun with it, and it brings us closer together.
Roxy is so mad.
Yeah, she's pretty mad right now. She knows I'm talking, so yeah.
She's like, hey.
As a matter of fact, I think she'll probably settle down now, so let me go get her right here.
Okay.
Hey, Earth. Sorry about that.
It's all right. I mean, my inner child basically wants to keep focus on the subject of water and be like, what was your first cave dive? And what was your first dive buddy? And then, I want to make up all these different questions around that stuff, but
I never really actually referred to anyone as a dive buddy other than you.
Oh wow, dude.
Yeah, single dives with you. I mean,
other people were just divers and not water lovers, or
well, I mean, some probably were, but I mean, I think too, I've always had a sense of, who was and who wasn't, I mean, I don't know, to equate it some of these comic book characters, the Spidey sense with Spider-Man, and Superman has this, I've had I don't know, a water sense, I think, and so sometimes with, just people in general, I mean, I can just kind of feel yeah, this person really kind of likes it. This one doesn't. You know, depending on the situation. I just kind of felt that way.
It kind of takes one to know one, huh?
I suppose. I suppose, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's just to me, I don't know. I just identify with it as being, you know,
Home in the
home.
water.
Yeah, in the water. Yeah, yeah. It's just again, I always say it's, you know, no place I'd rather be. You know, so I mean, you know, watching. I mean, your office visits, and I love that. You know, I mean, it's great. I think it's awesome. Um, you know, it really is touching.
Is there any advice maybe that you would give someone who hasn't learned to swim yet? Maybe they're elder or like, you know, like, I don't know, any advice to someone who might feel called to the water but are a little scared and maybe don't have someone that's a dive buddy or a water buddy or stuff like that? Or what can be some information that could be provided on someone like that that's like kind of new to this self-discovery of being called by the water?
I mean, the first thing I would say is you know, when you mentioned being afraid, that's hard to get over. And
It's a
so
very common fear.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so yeah, that's the hardest thing to get over. You know, is that fear. Um, Finding someone though who at least um, is trusting that you can trust is important, and you know, just being calm, being relaxed is the most important thing to me. Um, it's just being relaxed and calm, not being afraid. It's hard to overcome that, but when you're with someone who can guide you in that way, I think it just opens up a whole new world.
So what do you think, like maybe we'd have to like almost go on the internet and research and like type in our zip code and find someone who does like swimming classes or something like that, just like basic instruction? Or
In fact, I mean, and I don't know if I should, you know, mention organizations or whatnot, but
right.
again, in your communities, though, I mean, I think everyone's aware of facilities like your local YMCA, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been doing that for years. And in fact, I actually took advantage of that, and my wife learned how to swim through her local YMCA. You know, so
Wow.
yeah, it's a great resource in your communities that could help. So she's having some fun.
She's getting all this love this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't want to let me go today. Yeah, she doesn't want to let me go today. So.
Man, I gotta be honest with you. My, like, you could call it my inner child or my ego or some part of me loves the idea of if Gilda would ever let me interview her, because oh my God, your wife, dude, she is like one of the coolest, like, I want to call her a spiritual lady. Like, she's told me some stories before about how she like dreamed of creating her own business and how like she wanted these particular people to be workers. And she like, I can't remember the specifics, but it was something like, oh, I want this person to be faith and this person to be compassion, or it wasn't those words, but something like that. And I just thought that was really amazing to be mindful to bring that into the space. And I had always kind of wanted to like hear that story like again, because I remember it, like what you're saying about that guy diving, it's like stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
It's been very touching. I've also had like, fun with her, like, I'm just gonna be honest, with our canoe or whatever you call that, looked over and I lost my shoes in the river. Like,
yeah, we've been wanting to go back there, and they've been actually not doing that for quite some time. So
oh, really? Because of COVID?
Yeah, so that's something I can check on and see if that'll be open back up again. It's fun.
Yeah, that'll definitely light her spirit up. That's such a beautiful sacred ground.
Yeah, but you mentioned earlier too, as far as being interested in water and learning how to swim, there are so many opportunities, just to, I mean, like you right now, just taking a bath, I mean, we interact with water in so many different ways, and again, for me, it's just different. uh, but it's a precious commodity, obviously, and it's our, a gateway to life. I mean, doggone it, we can't really live without it, so we have to take care of it. But then again, um, for me, it's just more of a spirit I identify with also. That's just, stranger than most.
The water spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
This makes me think about how like water is currently on the stock market, and how sometimes there are people who have not had access to the information yet, how like the structure of water changes depending on like what the atmosphere it's in, kind of like plants, like if they're upset, and like and how they express themselves depending on where they're at and how they talk to each other, so the water being like kind of like a cellular memory itself. There's something else that you had said that's kind of like weighing over me. I'm not sure that it'll come back, but it did make me think about that and like really valuing our resources and understanding. Another thing that came to mind is how it's illegal to gather rainwater in many different places, and how places like Ginny Springs, right, like recently have created a contract where they're you could say harvesting the water, and it's not being really mindful of the planet itself.
Yeah, that's kind of big in this area, to where they're literally draining water from the aquifer, for the spring water. So, that's something that I'm interested in to.
Remembered the other thought that you inspired me was like when we're babies, how we're kind of in a water sack, right?
We are.
So that might be why a lot of us also feel like, like that womb type feeling, like being encompassed by water. And then one more thing that I just remembered that you brought to mind was like the difference between being open water and being in like a tub, like for me, it's really hard for me to just have this tub situation and to not have many open water places, without putting on my wetsuit, which honestly can kind of be sucky or boring without a dive buddy,
Yeah.
And the water's murky up here, so I'm kind of really looking forward to celebrating my 30th birthday in Florida and getting to be in that water. But I can't lie, I don't think I could ever get enough of Florida. I really want to go back to the Keys. I want to go diving. Not just there. I want to go to Bimini. I want to go to Egypt. I want to dive in some really, really interesting places that I haven't got to experience, but I've met a lot of different people who have, like Mexico. I mean, there's been so many different places that have been suggested to me. I've always had my own inner child calling to go to the Galapagos. That would be really, really awesome. Or Belize and be able to say it's unbelievable. Or shark dive.
No doubt.
Jim Abernathy and swimming with Emma. I mean, I have like this never-ending scuba diving bucket list kind of thing, or like even putting on my mermaid tail and going for like some time of like, swim adventure. Especially again, like the importance of having like a crew, if I'm going to be doing some type of underwater production. And it's always hard to kind of find people on my level. That's why it was always such an honor to work with you. It's like, oh, finally someone who can keep up with me in the water, you know what I mean? Because I have a lot of energy. So when I'm allowed to just like freely express myself, that's why I think I really, really love Alexander. Like, because it allows me to connect to like the elements of like, what do you call that? Like the seaweed type stuff under the water. So I get that like nature.
Yeah, there's a flow. It is. It just seems so unspoiled and natural, in some of those spots there. Yeah, which is why I like it so well too. It is just a good overall place, especially to learn how to scuba dive. Obviously the free diving there, it's not as deep as other places, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful place. As far as going, your comfort level, we talked about that earlier, I've heard some people say, one fear might be because of, they can't see the bottom or, murky water and whatnot. As a matter of fact, recently I went down to a local spot, Blue Heron Bridge, and the visibility was 10 feet. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, it was really, really, really bad.
area.
But I still stayed there, and once I found one boat, I didn't really leave it. And sure enough, it was kind of funny how people looking for things, they would look around and they'd see me right there, and oh, yep, here it is, right here. Oh, at least we can see something. I'm surprised at some of the how many folks actually navigated through and found anything. Nice that it's shallow there, but still, um, some people would just get afraid and just abandon the dive or whatnot. No, not me. No, I was going to stay there as long as I could. And so there are places here, in fact, that I would actually get kind of hesitant in swimming. The local river, out here, I've been out there kayaking, but just to jump in and swim, I'm not too thrilled about it. I mean, maybe just to cool off or something like that, but no,
Right.
it's pretty brackish water. So yeah, I mean, I've seen gators. I don't want to see any more of them.
Hey, dude, me and you went to like this almost, I want to call it like a dive convention or something like that. We went to some water like event, and there was a guy
Blue
there.
Wild events, yeah.
Yeah, dude, there was a guy there who his whole business was him like diving with gators. Like I think his name was Chris or something.
Chris, I forget his last name. Chris.
Dude, I would do that. I think that's cool.
Him. Yeah.
I would only want to do it with him though.
Yeah.
And Manny Puig, like I love the idea of things like that. Hey, I did have
that was actually quite a pleasure meeting him. I never really expected that we would actually talk to him like we did.
I almost wish we got to take a video because he was just so cool.
Yeah, it was. It was really.
Hey, I got an inspired question, and it's okay if you don't feel comfortable sharing this, but my inner kid, right? Like I got this inner seeking of knowing how, like, I don't know how to ask the question, but like, what kind of certifications have you gotten? Did you like in your life, or what, or how high did you go, or things like that? Like I'm only an open water diver, so.
Yeah, so am I. I've only
cool.
gotten certified up to the open water level. Now, I mean, I've done a lot of dives, a lot.
Like 200
I have to
more.
get out my logbook, of the ones I've actually logged.
True.
But I've actually
I
did
told
dives
you
I've never
go
logged.
out, dude.
What's that?
Roxy wants to go out. She's like
yeah, she's just pacing back and forth. Yeah, she's really having a good time right now. Yeah, she hadn't really done this in quite some time, so just let her loose. She doesn't.
Behind your back, she keeps messing with the curtain and like opening the blind.
Yeah, she'll pull it down if I let her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've only gotten really just the open water certification, and so again, I've actually been on a couple of training dives, cave dives. I have done that. I think I'm gonna have to go get her though. She's
being rambunctious.
Yeah, come in, you. Come on. There we go. I'm gonna put her up just a moment. Sorry about this.
You're perfect. It's okay.
But yeah, I've only gotten up to open water. Been on a couple of cave dives with a fantastic person who
like, have you been on night dives too?
I've never actually done a night dive.
Me neither.
All right,
John tried to get me to go out at Blue Heron, and I was like,
well,
I regret going now. I regret not going now.
Well, but we'll have to work on that.
That'd be cool. He said that there's a whole different species of critters that come out, like octopus and seahorses and stuff. Yeah,
there's probably a whole different atmosphere from the daytime. It's just that, especially now with the vis being so bad, now is not the good time. I wouldn't think to do a night dive there. So probably later toward the summer, the vis will probably improve. Yeah. But that's something, we've got to work on. But you've mentioned diving up there. Now, I do have a connection with that area, sort of. in my Air Force days, I used to travel to Seattle. And so Puget Sound is one place I've always wanted to dive, actually. In particular,
What is it? Is it like connected to the ocean? Is it a bay? Is it a lake? What is it?
It's a pretty much a bay,
Okay.
but eventually it connects to the Pacific Ocean. Cold
Cool.
water, cold. That's dry suit diving most of the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Even in
mean
the
you can get a.
summertime.
Oh, it stays cold. I'm guessing water temperatures there will stay in the 60s all year.
Wow. Not even like the
Yeah,
spring 72 year round.
nah, it probably. I mean, it may warm up some, but then again, you'll hit a thermocline at 30 feet or so, if that.
Okay, so what temperature does the water have to be in a dry suit instead of a wetsuit?
Well, it depends. I mean, a dry suit will just that keep you dry. And so if you're really in extreme temperatures, I mean, geez, freezing water, you wouldn't really want to wear a wetsuit, I wouldn't think. You would probably want a dry suit. But you can
Wow.
get like the exposure wetsuits up there in that area, they would be upwards of 7 millimeters and thicker, or
I think
nine
it's on my,
millimeters.
I think I gotta get a dry suit, dude. I need one in my kit. I'm gonna want to dive like Iceland, like I've seen dives like that. I'd love to do something
Yeah.
crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, if I was living in that area and really diving, and I would be, yeah, a dry suit probably would be preferred.
No
And
one
that
ever
takes
like
some special training too to get used to it because your buoyancy is a little bit different,
in a dry
with the
suit.
dry suit. Yeah, so
Are
you'd
you
have to
able
get
to
some
adjust
special
yourself with
training.
your breath?
Not really.
So like a weight belt or?
No, but you'll have air attachments to the dry suit itself. So you'll yeah they'll again, that's a special
Dude,
class that you would have to
I feel so
take.
blonde or stupid or whatever. Like I never realized that a dry suit keeps you completely dry. I mean,
That's
I might have
the
realized that because
purpose.
people made pee jokes before, but now like it's actually like dawned on me like you're actually completely fully dry.
Yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah.
way that you stay dry is there's like constant pumping of air through your suit or
No, no. It's just again, as you descend deeper, that pressure is going to squeeze against you. So the dry suit helps with your buoyancy. It almost takes the place of uh, your BCD in certain aspects. But you got to be careful because again, your whole suit, have air in it. So again, it takes some special training for that. But it's probably more comfortable, than one of those big, thick wetsuits. You know me, I don't like wetsuits anyway. But I would get one to come dive there. I've always wanted to dive that area.
my dad actually has a dry suit, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you
So
could. Yeah.
I don't know if he's too tall for you, but I'm sure he'd be happy to let you borrow it. In
Yeah,
fact, he
again, that
might
would
even
take.
give it to you because I don't think he's doing those kind of dives anymore.
Mhm.
Just something to consider. Wish it would fit me. Especially but this is definitely on my bucket list now. I gotta find someone who like train me or whatever, like you're saying, so I know how to like properly work the suit because that's definitely something I want to do. Like maybe like for my 40th birthday or 50th or something like that, like go dive Iceland or somewhere really, really cold because those waters have always just seemed like they seem like they're super duper clear and just like some of the most beautiful places. I don't think that there's any like I could be an ignorant comment, but I'm assuming that there's not really like different kind of like let me rephrase. My ego thinks that there's not really like many fish there, but I have to be wrong, right? There's definitely species who live in extremely cold water.
Yeah, yeah. Depending on where you go, there's
But in the
some
videos, I've
life.
never seen any critters while the people are diving. It's always just just beautiful water underneath
Yeah,
glaciers.
and just for me, it's a serenity of just being there sometimes.
Yeah, I can only
That's
imagine the
it.
atmosphere.
I've actually had a thought, that someone would ask, hey, what are you doing? I can think of many, many, many places I've gone swimming and people look at me and stuff and ask me certain things. One question, what are you doing down there? I never really had an answer for that before. but now I kind of do. Um, it's where I go to pray. You know, and so it's just, sometimes brings that peace, within me, that I can just be there and go, nothing else matters. But that only lasts a minute. I'm not a good free diver, actually. I don't think. But then again, like I said, I can breathe underwater, so I'll get my equipment. So, yeah. Oh, here she comes again. So, but still, your area, the specific place, I need to find out if it's still actually a dive site up there, was called the Tacoma's Narrows Bridge. I can't remember the year that this bridge was built, in a section there near Tacoma on Puget Sound. But a windstorm basically came up and basically blew the bridge down. There's some old YouTube videos out there, I'm sure,
Oh, wow.
of it. But it's supposed to be actually a decent dive site. If you can dive it, it might be classified as a intermediate type level dive. So you will have probably some currents, and timing there, that you might have to consider. But that's no more than, planning a high tide, in this area. So, but that's one place I've always wanted to dive if I ever get back to that area. So
do people fly with
ready.
dive equipment? Do you know? Like, is that like a thing? Or do you just rent equipment every time you go somewhere?
Oh, I'd imagine, yeah, some people will, fly with some equipment. I mean, in fact,
Wouldn't you have to put it under the plane or something? Like,
yeah, more than likely. I mean, if anything, your regulator, you could probably fly with. So if you've got a good bag.
oh, I see what you're saying. Like, make the rental cheaper by bringing select stuff. Or
Well,
I don't know
know,
if it's
when
really worth it to lug the equipment, or if it's better to like just rent it.
Well, when you think about it, though, your most expense, is probably going to be your regulator and your BC. I mean,
But it's also really nice to have like your special equipment, like stuff that you're comfortable
well,
in.
your mass snorkel fins. I mean, everywhere I go, they're in my bag, my suitcase. Everywhere I go. I went home for Thanksgiving to Milwaukee, and I had mass snorkel and fins.
Do you have
It did
anywhere
make
to
sense.
swim?
No, of course not. No. But I'm that way.
That's amazing.
Hey,
you never know. Maybe the pool was open.
Well, they do have indoor pools. I mean, yeah. And in fact, in that area, they have, what's the name? Sabaris. It's like a, wow, it's like they have like jacuzzi suites and stuff. Yeah, it's like I don't know what you call it, but just look it up. It's Sabaris. That's in the area that I grew up in. I actually never been there, but that's supposed to be pretty cool too. Yeah, imagining waking up and being able to swim right in your hotel room. That'd be pretty cool.
I recently met this couple, Dallas, where their dream is to open up a bathhouse over here.
Yeah,
like a real bathhouse, like back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, there were legal requirements and stuff like that to do that, but that had definitely piqued my interest and be like, man, I want to be part of that. I want to do that.
Well, one of the favorite places, down south, the Turkish baths.
Yeah, the Russian Turkish baths.
Yeah, I missed that place. Yeah,
they do some of the best massages I've ever had in that facility. And there's actually a woman there who actually was familiar with Yahe and Combo and all these things. When I laid on the table, this lady started playing Icaros, and she had no idea. I had no symbols on my body or nothing that, was that. And I was like, hey, but she was only slightly bilingual. So she like mainly was speaking Spanish, but she did a pretty good job communicating. We were able to like have the dialect, but just like, I always love this lady. I don't know her name, but every single time I'm there, I'm like, I want her. She's got like this Reiki master vibe, and she's super duper lovely lady. Something else I always wanted to do there is like, have you ever seen those things that they hit you with?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what those are called, but I have seen
Yeah,
those.
supposedly like you use those to open up your like
You open your pores on your
pores or
skin.
something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had never done
It's
that.
the
I
blood
definitely would
flow
love to do that
to
where I
your
just
skin. Yeah,
I would love to do that. I mean, it'd be
yeah.
cooler maybe to have like the professional service done where they do it, or maybe just tell me what to do. Like, but I see people doing it to themselves all the time in the certain different saunas. And
Well, it'd be fun to get
yeah,
there again. It sure
yeah, me
will.
too, me too. Yo, anytime, man. My dad will go with you anytime too, man. My dad loves
Yeah,
that place.
that'll be fun. A lot of fun.
Mhm.
So
Beautiful.
she's
Well,
she's kind of chilling down here now, so
she
I
wore
gotta
herself
keep my eye
out.
on her. Apologize for this. So yeah, she's come here, you. Come here, you. There you go. There she is. She makes a gurgling sound too. Um, every now and then. Oh, she's waving hi. There you can wave hi. There you go. Yeah. So, well, yeah, it was really kind of, I don't know, interesting, I guess. And that connection, with the water, that you and I kind of share, and others too, and it's just a beautiful thing to see, for me. So anybody, I guess it's kind of true to, that the astrological sign of me being that water bear, that's all I want to
Me
share,
and Pisces.
What's that?
I was joking, like you a water bear and me a Pisces. I'm the fish. You carry the water.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
well, dude, I know something that I keep getting inspired to do. I don't know how, like, I'll ever like manifest this or whatever, or magnetize it. But I had this idea, like, especially when you're talking about how many people really love the water, and how many people we know that's kind of like that. So I thought about, like, what if we did like dive retreats or something like that, a chance for like us, kind of how they always have like group meetings or get-togethers of different hobbyists. Like, why couldn't we have like a dive group, of people who just absolutely love the water, and that we do like planned retreats, like we go to Mexico and then like and things like that, and then you can kind of like share stories of your dives and what you found. And I don't know, it sounds like something I'd want to do, kind of like a psychedelic integration circle, but instead for scuba diving.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I subscribe to a couple of newsletters from the local dive stores and whatnot, and they're always, advertising trips, to these exotic locations and whatnot. So,
Maybe
yeah,
that
that's
could be
something
our
that's still
retirement business, dude. Maybe we need to have our own dive shop. What are we doing? Oh
well.
my God.
I tell you, I can certainly come up with some ideas offline, so to speak, with you. And so I do have a few, actually. I do have a few.
I'm sure it would be doable, man. And like I feel like the way that we might run the dive shop might be like, a totally different approach. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
nice to have that inspiration.
there's some things that definitely still inspire me, to do and to learn. And so I'm kind of excited for those things too. That bucket list is still there. So there's still
Me
more work
too,
to
man.
do. Yeah, there's more work to do. So, but again, I just, me and water, I just, I can't separate it. I can't separate the two. Um, I just, there's no me without you. That's how I kind of feel about it. So me and water are just it. We're just it. Yeah, we're just it. So that's how I feel.
Do you have any dives planned?
Uh, yeah. I just don't know when it's going to happen. I mean, I'm always thinking about just getting up and going somewhere. And soon, yeah, soon. Every weekend is an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, today even didn't start out to be a good day, but as you know, it could be a great day. Days like today. especially this time of year, some of the springs. Heck, I was in Alexander Spring like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Wasn't exactly a Chamber of Commerce day, but I mean, I was like, for a time, the only one in the water.
Nice.
I mean, literally, the only one in the water. And I was looking around, everybody's looking at me, and I was like, yeah, you guys are missing. I was like, you know, and so I enjoy those moments too. I enjoy those moments too. So, but again, I think, a lot of people though just don't identify with it for whatever reason. And I mean, that's who you are. It's fine. But I don't really, know of a person who, at least has a healthy respect, for water in some form. It is a universal element, I guess. I think we all have a connection to it.
Some of the best dives I've ever had have always been when it's raining. I remember when I was very, very little, I had a friend named Marisa, and we used to go to the pool, and I remember she was like, Trina, you're crazy, kind of thing, but I'm hopping in the pool and I just love that water beating down. And then I've had other times too where just like it's wild on the top, but underneath is so still. It's so peaceful. And I love those moments.
You just reminded me of a dive I took a few years ago in Mexico, in Mayamal, Mexico. As we were going out on this boat, which was more like a canoe to me, it seemed that way. It was a pretty small boat, and we had 8 people on it. Wasn't my idea of a dive boat, let's just say. But so as we're going out, we see the storm head coming right toward us, and the dive master was like, "Yeah, we're going to get hit." So they were trying to prepare us, that it was going to get rough. Sure enough, it got rough. Not enough to where I felt like I was going to, throw up or anything, but it was like, oh my goodness. I just hope it's not like that on the way down. And they kind of was, yeah, once we get down to the bottom, we'll be fine. And sure enough, it was like night and day. Yeah, the surface. But once we got down about 10 feet, I mean, it was the most beautiful thing at that point I'd ever saw. Excuse me. I was, what really struck me with that dive was the fact that the corals and the reefs seemed really healthy there at that point in time. I was like, wow, I have to go back here. And I did. And yeah, there were some really healthy reefs in that area at the time. And so that was a very memorable dive there in Mexico. Again, it was really, really rough at first. I was like, oh, goodness gracious. I never thought I would actually get seasick. But I did. I've gotten seasick.
Oh, you threw up?
Yeah, one time. Trying to remember, where was I? Grand Cayman.
The boat was just rocking so much or something?
Yeah, it was just one of those that just...
Did you eat like not too long ago? No, nothing like that. It was just literally nausea.
Like that. It was probably just some anxiety, I think.
Dude.
Once I got rid of it, I was fine after that.
You just triggered a memory. Me, my dad, and a bunch of his friends, we took a boat over to Bimini. And at one point we were in between the two coastlines and the waves were uncontrollable kind of thing, like 12-foot high waves. And we couldn't reach the Coast Guard because we were like right in that middle line of like the two different lands. And yeah, I remember being kind of like scared, I was just a kid. I was maybe like 12, something like that. But it was very interesting. That's the only memory I have that would ever compare with the story that you're telling. So I can only imagine what you went through. Also, something I want to say out loud that I I got an inspiration of the title of the show anytime I'm in the bathtub. Testimony in a tub.
Okay.
I dig it. And
it
it made me think about baptism and stuff like that, dude. Like going into the water and cleansing our soul. I also have this amazing book. It's called Pilgrimage of Love. It's by Amrit Desai's guru Bapuji that I love so much, Swami Kripalu. And Swami Kripalu in this book, he talks about his 19 years of being silent. And he tells this story on how, like in India, they wash themselves many, many times. And it's not just a one-time shower thing. It's a spiritual devotion to wash the head, to wash the stomach, to wash every area. And they do it over 3 times, you know, if they can, if they have the water. And I don't know, I think that you would enjoy reading those stories of how he talks about the water. I was really, really moved by those books. You know, he tells so many different stories that are just so moving. And I've actually been on this mission of actually collecting almost every single book that has his personal writings, which is more difficult to get, but and even people talking about him and stuff like that. I really, really love his soul. I would love to do like when you go to like I almost want to say Hare Krishna temples, or if you go to, I don't know if you've been here, but the Temple of the Universe, I would highly suggest you to go there if you haven't been there, Michael Singer's place. But he has like I don't know if you've ever seen at the Amrit Institute, they do the same thing. Like they have pictures of all the olders before them, you know. So I'd love to have like Maharaji printed on the wall, or Bapuji. I love to have a picture of Amrit framed and on the wall, and just have like that little place of prayer of like, wow, thank you guys who have walked this path before me, and how you got close with God. This is just so beautiful. I've been kind of wanting to do that. That stuff really touched my life. You're so lucky to be there. If I was in Florida, I would definitely go out to the Temple of the Universe if you haven't been there before. I've also been yelled at like a million times by the universe, you could say, to listen to or at least read The Untethered Soul, the book that he wrote. He's a really beautiful person. I've had the pleasure of being at one darshan before, and I remember really loving being there. I had actually also gone there. I had gone to the Hare Krishna temple, which is really close by, of, I think they were celebrating some type of holiday. I want to say like Krishna's birthday or something significant. I wish, excuse me, like no offense. I don't know what event it was, but it was a celebration, and it was just amazing to be there in the puja that was offer like the prayers over to all the deities and things like that, and just seeing so many people like in worship. Like part of me also like is really struggling to be in Washington because we don't have that here. I think there's one in Seattle, but that's still like a 2-hour drive for me. And there's stuff in British Columbia, but we haven't been able to go over there. But in British Columbia, I just found out Ibogaine is like legal over there, kind of thing. But they have Ibogaine treatment centers in British Columbia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would love to experience it more from like, the lineage, like of painting my face and like going through the rites of passage, like the actual ritual. But there's been some blockages from basically going over there. But again, you're very lucky to be where you are. I know you're not me. You don't feel that same drive that I do to go to all those places. But again, you're so lucky. I would be at the Amrit Institute doing yoga nidra every day, eating their food, darshans, chandra krans. Oh my God, like you just have so many things. You can go to Juniper. You have like this never ending list of things. But to be honest, I did spend like 29 years of my life there, or 28 or whatever. So, of course, I'm
here.
Huh?
They'll always be here. Those places will be here. And,
well, times do change, like the energy of Ginny Springs isn't the same. Like I went there once they started bottling, and just like you could feel like the land kind of sad, and a lot of people are trying to boycott the place because they're like charging $20 now to get in and stuff like that, 15 or whatever. It ranges season to season. And I understand the principle of keeping the park alive, but at the same time, like, me, I'm always an advocate for the land. And I don't think that the land should be depreciated. I think that we should take advantage of the fact that we can go to this place and place our feet and pray and sing and gather. It's definitely been a place where millions of people have drank and polluted the water and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's also tons of amazing memories and gatherings. There's just so much positivity and love. And yeah, how many years did it take for those plants to grow and things like that. Like there's just so much there. And I just feel like it's definitely going undervalued.
Yeah,
And people
there is a lot there. I will admit that yeah, things are changing up there, and so yeah, I'm kind of anxious to actually get up there myself here, and actually talk to some people really about what's going on up there. Um, because I mean, it is a great resource there. It really
I would
is.
love to interview some of those rangers over there, man. I bet you they would tell you stories about how they've been, working there for 20 years and how they watched this change and then they watch this and how they personally feel. If they're even allowed to, speak from that without risking their job kind of thing, or even if they just don't care and they have a message to share kind of thing, like I would love to just hear.
Yeah, so will I, and become just a little
Even
bit
off the record is fine. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a great place. This area in general, in Central Florida, it's just been a place I've always wanted to be. Even back in my Air Force days, I wanted to come here for a different reason. But I knew of the springs here in Central Florida, and I was like, wow, if I can get here, oh my goodness. And I actually spent the better part of like 5 years trying to make that happen.
Wow.
It did. It did. And so I'm fortunate and blessed and very happy about all of that. But the growth continues. There's still more to see and do. I actually had a book in maps of all the springs in Florida. I can't even remember how many it was.
Like how they all link to each other kind of thing?
Yeah, well, just someone had, I forget the person's name who wrote this. I can't remember the person's name, but they literally mapped out all the springs that are in Florida. Now, some of these are uninhabited. I mean, they're not swimmable, but they may be like little sinkholes. But all the springs in Florida was cataloged. And of the springs that are, swimmable per se, I was trying to get a number of how many I've actually went to. And there's still quite a few that I have not gone to.
Have you gone to Gilchrist?
Yes, I've been to that one. Oh yeah, yeah, I've been to that one. Let's see. I really can't think of. Actually, there's one down toward I believe the Tampa area called Lithia Springs. It's not. It's probably a warm one, is what they said. I just want to kind of get there just to see it. It probably wouldn't be, for example, one of our favorite places to swim. Not that type of spring, but just to go and check another spring off the list, so to speak, would be good. I Peacock Springs is one that I would like to go to.
Are there peacocks on the land, or why do they call that? Or
I'm not sure exactly what why it's named that way, but it's supposed to be an elaborate cave system up there, that I would like to just see. I gotta go get my bird. He's into everything over here. Come here. Come on. All right. Jeez. She is really having a day today. This is quite a trip.
Dallas, I had this thought. I don't know if I can fit it in my suitcase, but I'd be tempted to bring my autism awareness yellow tail and for us to give a swim at Gilchrist. Because I haven't done it yet with my, my new long hair. We only did some with short hair. And that would be really awesome. I've always wanted to use my mermaid tail at Gilchrist Springs. There's like this one little particular, it's kind of like a half cave, you could say. I really, really love that spot, and I'd love to do that. So I'm gonna play around and see if I can fit my tail.
Well, that's quite a bit to bring. So
it would, but that one is a lot lighter in weight than the other one, so it might be doable.
Well, mind your space.
Yeah.
That is quite a bit.
I'll play around. But I mean, it's
Just
on my
bring
bucket
the
list.
essentials.
That is the essential. It's on my bucket list to make this happen. Come on.
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, charge all your GoPros. I have a new dive housing. Maybe we can play with that too. So we can experiment. But yeah, it'd be really fun. I actually haven't been in a mermaid tail for feels like a year or more.
Yeah,
a long time.
We've had a recent conversation about styles and techniques and whatnot. I've always kind of been really kind of fascinated really with certain techniques. For example, swimming with a monofin, versus the bifins and whatnot. Some people
I've never swam with the bifins before for sure. But I have swam in a monofin once, aside from just the mermaid tail thing. Dude, I had this amazing inspired thought of a bucket list thing to do with Dallas, but I'm forgetting it. Oh, I just remembered. Okay, so there's a place, because I started to think about Jacques Cousteau. I know, I don't know how my brain just started. We're talking about water. For some reason, came to mind his little red hat.
Water thing.
Life of Aquatic is definitely how I found out about Jacques Cousteau. I know it's kind of sad, but John Jay continued to teach, and John Jay actually is the one who took me to this place called Cousteau's, which is downtown St. Augustine. And I'll admit, it's not the healthiest thing for us. But in St. Augustine, they have this place where if you walk in with a red beanie, they give you a discount or whatever, and they sell waffles and ice cream.
Okay.
And it's called Cousteau's, and it's a place that's dedicated to free diving. Then they have actual pictures of him on the wall. I don't know if they're still in business after the whole thing, but I had that as a joke in my mind of me and Dallas have to go to Cousteau's.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That place.
Yeah, I'd never known that. So yeah, that'd be fun. But you brought up free diving, and that's been a topic that I'm actually very, very interested in, and a topic that I've done some reading upon. Certain these.
Do you know there's a certification for it?
Yes, there is now.
I didn't know that.
Yes, there is.
I went to a dive shop and they taught me that, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, and that's how much it's grown in popularity. Again, I just think it's just a testament to really people getting in touch with their water side. That's what I think that is. But it's a great thing that's happening. So yeah, a lot of people are enjoying that, and it's something that has always been sort of like a topic with scuba divers. The mix between the two. So I don't know if you take a informal survey of scuba divers, how many scuba divers actually enjoy free diving too, that type of thing, because there always seemed to be some conflict with scuba diving and your teachings, that you constantly breathe. Yeah, which is true.
You're stripping these other diving, thoughts,
it's just the
people,
opposite.
You're inspiring these like you're saying, taking data or whatever, because you're right. There's all these different intricacies in the water world of people who wear the goggles like this versus the goggles like this versus the oval mask. Yeah. There's people who like the hookah. There's people who there was another thing that came to mind. Not just the snorkel. Once again, I'm losing it, but it's basically different versions of being under the water. The nose clips. Oh, I got it. It was something silly. It's just different fins, dive fins versus open toe fins, and all the specifics of weight belts and ankle weights. And
there's all kinds of things, and something else. So the dynamic between being a scuba diver and a free diver too. I actually consider myself a free diver also. And I enjoy them equally as much. Again, my premise is very simple. If I want to stay underwater for longer than a minute or so, I will get a tank.
For me, yeah. I love the hookah. That gives me a combination of both. I'm absolutely completely free and I can still do all my things, but I also can stay underwater and I don't have to hold my breath. And because sometimes you get a workout, right, when you're trying to go down, unless you can like have a weight belt or whatever and sink slowly. But usually like all that energy will take away our oxygen, right? And our ability to stay down longer. And something else that I noticed is the pressure of the water, like depending on how much pressure, it can be harder to stay underwater with higher pressure. And then different temperatures, of course, can change how long you can stay underwater. Like I definitely can stay under longer if I'm in colder water, like, because it slows down my heart rate. Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a thing too, cold water swimming, you know, it's a good therapy for some, you know, depending on certain situations. But, you know, the free diving has really been, you know, nice to see the popularity in that. Also with the, you know, different types of sport, you know, you ever heard of like octopus?
What's that?
Underwater rugby, underwater hockey.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
That's real?
Yes. The thing, yes, it's a real thing. Not so much in America, it seems. There are a few clubs
underwater
out there.
rugby.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of fun. You know, there's specialized equipment for that type of stuff too.
Like they're diving and playing the game.
Yeah.
Can you name any other sports or any other things that rugby and what else?
Those are the two that I can you know,
then what's the
become
second one?
interested in.
Rugby and what else?
Underwater hockey.
Hockey.
Yeah, underwater hockey. Yeah. Yeah, those are pretty popular actually.
Dude, in Key West, they have that underwater music festival.
Yeah. You know, I've always thinking of particularly don't they usually have something like in Key West during Halloween? You know, underwater pumpkin carving and stuff like that, you know.
Do they? I mean, I know they do. I've always wanted to go to Fantasy Fest, but
you know, that's something that I've you know, been trying to, you know, wish I guess that you know, it would be more popular and possibly, you know, I need to check in places like you know, Orlando or whatnot, if they have any like underwater hockey clubs and stuff like that, you know, to do that would be a lot of fun, I think. You know,
yeah.
man,
You
I
know,
can just imagine just the workout value, you know, the exercise value of something like that. Oh my goodness. You know?
dude, I always wanted to do like an underwater 80s photo shoot with like weights and stuff and like have like my ponytail like up high, like the scrunchie and like the high socks
All
or
right,
whatever.
so I'm
lifting
going
weights.
to say this publicly. Okay, I'm going to say this publicly because I have the perfect, I think, underwater gym workout photo shoot planned for you.
Let's do it. It's like I would love to do that. I also
I've
told
got
you.
everything, all the equipment. I think it would be a blast to try to do. I really do.
Yo, I'm down.
So
When I'm
I'm
visiting, if
gonna.
you'd like, we can plan in a tent. I don't know if I can do it in the springs. Maybe in like a shallow area.
I'm telling you, we can make this work.
Or Gilchrist. Gilchrist might be an
We
option.
can make this work. I'm telling you. We'll
No, I'm happy to have this
I
conversation.
mean, I don't want to, you know, get all hopes up, but I'm telling you, this has been something that I've been kind of, I don't know, maybe subconsciously wanting to happen for a long time.
Cool.
And
Yeah,
now
dude,
though, it's what's weird is I'm looking at this stuff, you know, and I'm like, I've got everything I need.
you're
So,
inspiring me. I have a couple, I was like kind of sponsored by this company called Sci-Fi Icon D. And they do this thing like Sailor Moon stuff. They have Sailor Moon bathing suits, and they sent me Sailor Neptune. And my goal is to do an underwater with the wig and everything. I have yet to do it. I needed someone like you to be with me in the water, but I have all the equipment, so maybe I could bring it and like repair the shoes, because they made the shoes with like a hot glue gun. So I'll have to use like E6000 or something like that and repair. And so that way it's waterproof. And then another thing I wanted to touch base on, I keep losing it. I had it there, but my memory is failing me. But go ahead, and if it comes back, I'll share.
well, I know there's you know, just been a couple things, you know, especially since you left, you know, that we didn't get a chance to finish up on. So, but
I'm
those
like,
things are
write
still
them
there.
down and show them to me. You know what I mean? Like, let's make a
like things that, like, I always do this with friends. It's like my bucket list with this friend, like things I want to do with this friend before I pass. And I have resurfaced the memory of what I wanted to touch base on. Dallas, you've been like one of the best producers I've ever had in my life. Particularly, I remember times where we have journeyed to like, honestly, like through forest, or through Juniper Springs. Like you recorded me like doing talks and walking through, and like that just like was so meaningful to me, because I had wanted to kind of change my image, you could say, and get away from being like a model and kind of more being like, you know, like almost like a travel guide or something like that, you know? And you were like one of the first people, you are the first person who ever followed me around with the camera. And then I was able to like be my character, right? Be myself. And then like also share the beautiful lands and show people stuff. And I just have dreamed of like, you know, continuing that. And you definitely planted that seed by showing that it's totally available to me to do that. I would love to also maybe go through my YouTube if I could, and maybe like sort into a playlist of like, you know, our travels together and some of those fragments of videos, because like the ARE, you know, like I feel like that video doesn't have enough views, kind of, you know what I mean? Like I loved going there. I wish that I had taken more videos. I wish I took a video of us on the beach because of the mermaid's purse that I found, right? I don't have any evidence that I found these little black mermaid's purses, right? Little shark and goes, whatever that's called, like the shell. You just can't make that stuff up. And it was just really beautiful. Energy of the Blue Ridge Mountains. I mean, I'll always hold that dear. And I've been wanting to go back, especially before the ARE closes, you know. It's on, like, I don't know if it's ever going to close, but I do definitely have that insecurity sometimes that like it's going to be undervalued and people don't know who he is anymore and stuff like that. And I just would love to teach out of there and keep selling crystals. I mean, they just do a lot of amazing things. And most of all, I want to go back just with the intention of sitting and going through all the library, like all the readings he did. Like if you join their organization, you can read online, but there's nothing like getting hands-on with the material. You know what I mean? That was definitely the best part. I probably could have spent hours there, but I also felt like there was so much to explore. It wasn't enough for one day. You know what I mean? Like I would love to do it again. Also, that, is it Laverne, or like that cave that we went to?
Luray Caverns.
Yeah, dude, I wish that they would let me stay like in the lucid dream area or whatever, like where the water's reflecting, like the cave. Like I wish I could just stay there for like 30 minutes and just like film like just the stillness and the dripping of the water, because it's just so like amazing.
It's a spectacular place. Yeah.
And honestly, video, like when we capture stuff, it just doesn't do justice of like actually being there, and like what a gift like from God kind of thing to like be granted, like to be there, to like bring our presence and our like appreciation, right? Like to be blessed like that way, and also for us to be blessed with like the experience of the other way of like receiving like the goodness from the location or the ley lines or whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, in a small way, you know, that's why, you know, I value, you know, what you're doing, you know, and you're sharing, you know, because you're sharing these experiences, you know, with others. Obviously, I feel very blessed to have also, you know, been a part of that. But the sharing aspect to me has become more important, especially
testimony.
Yeah, you know, so that's been an awesome thing. And going forward, more importantly, I think, you know, some of these things that we've mentioned, you know, will be important, you know, not just for ourselves. You know, the hope for me is to always, you know, that others benefit, you know, and that's why I do it. It's, you know, in my soul, my ego, whatever that is, but the intent is always to bring joy to others because of it. And so that's why I enjoy it. It's a blessing to have, you know, found you and worked with you to just make this happen. So I appreciate it.
Just so you know, I can remember like almost every detail of being at my first mermaid convention. By the way, that was the first day I was getting my tail. My first day I was getting my tail ever, a real professional tail from Eric.
and I got to be a model for him of his products, and I got to get my makeup and hair professionally done and be with all those girls, with Chelsea and Ashley. And
Yeah.
just I had a really good friend who took me at the time because I wasn't driving at the time. You know, I grew up kind of afraid to drive. The same fear my mom had, kind of thing, passed on to me. But I end up now I love driving, as you know. But Sky Captain drove me to the event, and this guy Sky Captain was my photographer, right? And Sky Captain was always pushing me, like trying to tell me, like, you can do this, you can make all your dreams come true. And he was always like kind of financially supportive, you know. So like he paid this company to take my picture underwater, and I had never had I've never paid a photographer at that point, you know what I mean? And I'll be honest, the pool was so murky. I felt so bad for that event, you know, because like you're having a so-called mermaid event and your pool is garbage. Like, don't you know everybody wants to get in the water and take pictures of their tails? And we got this professional underwater company. I don't know if they're in business anymore. Like I recently looked them up, the Mustang company, right? And dude, like I never thought from working with that guy that, like, you know, the things that would come to pass later on, you know what I mean? I got to pick his brain about his company and how he was like trying to sell his equipment. And he told me stories, and just it was very touching. I always kind of wanted to pick his brain again now that, like, you know, I healed some of my trauma or whatever, and I'm like a different person now, you know, and he's only kind of seen like who I presented to the public space kind of thing. So it'd be interesting to hear him. And I hear a lot of story about his wife too, you know, like in the community, and he spoke of her as well. So I always want to pick her brain because it seems like she loves water like I do. But basically, like, again, like what I was going to say initially before all that inspiration came on stage was about like, I never thought that meeting you at this mermaid convention that, like, you know what I mean, that it would turn into what it is or whatever, you know. Like I remember you had contacted me, and I was like, I just put it off or whatever. And then some type of inspiration or something happened. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take you up on your offer. I need someone to keep up with me in the water. And then look how much you're able to keep up with me. You know what I mean? Like, that's just unbelievable. And I just almost want to cry kind of thing. Cause again, it's just unbelievable backwards. You know what I mean? I would never imagine those things unfolding, kind of like the possum stuff or all the things in my life, you know, like that's what also it kind of makes me think in a creator sometimes. Cause when you look at it backwards, you know, Steve Jobs actually said that in his, like, one of his final speeches kind of thing, you know, that it all makes sense backwards. He was talking from a point of like how he got certified in code and this and that, and he didn't understand how they would all apply. And then like he created this big thing that ended up making sense kind of thing, you know. God rest his soul kind of thing. But again, I'm just very, very touched to like have these experiences with you, and also for you to share like what you're saying about the sharing of your personal testimony, how you too have had that like come to God moment of like, oh my God, it's gotta be something up there, like what's happening down here. And
Yeah.
there's gotta be something more, and just like all the self-exploration. And it's nice to kind of have, like, you can say that validation or just that confirmation, like, oh, me
Confirmation,
too.
yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is a confirmation. You know, we've had other talks and whatnot, you know, about certain things that have happened, but you know, overall, I'll just, you know, sum up to say that you know, of all the things that we will go through in life, you know, it's just, I believe, important to just really stop, take a look, and appreciate, you know. So many things happen beyond our control, but I do believe the one thing that we can control somewhat is our own inner peace. And so that's a struggle to have happen, but I think it's a journey worth taking to try to find that inner peace for yourself. Mine comes with water, period, full stop. You know, believe it or not, something for me as simple as a tear. But imagine what that tear can mean for us. It could be the most extreme joy or the most disheartening pain that we've ever gone through.
Mm-hmm.
All that is because it's water. It's water from within.
What?
That tear. So that's how connected I am to it. I can bring it down for me to a tier, uh, you know, and it's precious.
That inspired me of I don't know if you've ever been to the website tearsofamermaid.com. Have you?
No, I have not. I have not.
It's Hannah Fraser's page, and it's
Oh,
dedicated
okay.
to
I do know of
conservation.
her.
Yeah, I could cry right now.
As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, I think I may have shared this with you, but her birth date is the same as mine.
Oh, wow.
It is.
I'm like, of course.
It is. Her
Dude,
birthday.
I would love to meet this lady. It seems like she's recently got involved with like
I
being an
actually,
advocate for psychedelics, and like
2 years ago, I actually sent her an email wishing her a happy birthday, and she
oh
replied.
dude, I've contacted her too, and she's replied too. She's like a really sweet lady, but I've never like had like a personal interaction, like I've had the opportunity because she was at certain conventions,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
was shy or whatever, and I guess like I just never paid the money or whatever to go do the thing. But in time, I didn't know who she was, but one of her first things that was ever shown to me was the Cove. I didn't know that was her at the time. And her work just kept coming up for me, and people would always tell me like, oh, you remind me of her. And I just always resonated with her. Like there's like this one clip of her that I've always really appreciated. Like she's sitting on like a dive wreck and she's in her tail, but like in her tail there's not a single crinkle. You know what I mean? Like she had really put in such work into making this piece, and not just this, but like her grace, like just sitting. You know what I mean? Like I always I'm like, that's me, man. Like I want to do that with you. And actually it's because of her, I think, that I actually know of Jim Abernathy and Emma and stuff like that. I had seen something else on Emma, and just Emma herself, like the shark, has just mesmerized me, and I'd love to meet her and kiss her nose and stuff if they would let me. But yeah, that's amazing. I'm just very touched by that.
The power to me of the spirit, and that's why I think at least for me now, that sharing this is important. You'd be surprised at what can motivate and inspire someone. And I've been surprised for a long time at some of those things. I thought, well, it didn't make any sense, but yet someone else saw it completely different and turned that into a wonderful thing. And so that's always the intention here, is that inspiration. Again, I always circle back to water. Always. And again, it starts with a tear for me.
Dallas, something I've been wanting to say is that like anyone that's really been listening, they can hear some of the like in between stuff about, like you've said, like a lot of really meaningful life lessons, like kind of like learning to be still or quiet, or like that peace that you're talking about. For me, I was always taught it to be the peace that surpasses all understanding. And I've like there's been like 5 times where I have felt like, wow, this guy is channeling like God talking to everyone kind of thing. Just hearing you talk about, like, for example, like if someone was to rewind after hearing what I said, right? Like when you're talking about someone learning to swim, like you're kind of talking about, the lesson that I was taught a little bit, where I was taught that we are to respect the fear, that fear is a gift, but also sometimes too, like how the resistance is the medicine kind of thing, like whatever you're resisting, just jump in the water kind of thing. Yeah. So there's like a gray area of that, but I feel like there was multiple times in this chat that you've kind of like said some like, I don't even know what you would call it, transcendental, or I don't know, Brian would have like a better ethereal, my friend Brian would have a great word for like what it is. But wow, like, yeah, I just feel like you said just some things that are like, wow, people who can really hear those messages, they're going to catch them. And it was nice for me to catch them, and even me wanted to like go in a little deeper into that and be like, hey, I caught that. Like, let's keep that going, But I'm still learning how to have conversations, if I'm honest. Like I'm perfecting my communication skills. Like I have a tendency of definitely like blurting out and interrupting people. And
having a fear that I'm not going to be heard and no one's listening or able to understand me. And some of those wounds are still coming out, kind of thing, you know? So it's nice to like be able to work through this with you. And like, you are an amazing listener. Let me also say that, like, you're an amazing listener. And I'm just so grateful to have had this moment with you. So thank you so much for being a part of this and this dream and this idea. Like,
My honor. Certainly my honor, my blessing to have been received, for our connection. It's just a wonderful thing. I just, again, the growth and possibilities are just, for me, inspiring. Your underwater work is something that I know can grow, and it's something I want to help you with. And so that just, I think people will be not only surprised, but thankful, and so we've got some work to do, and I'm happy.
Oh, for sure. I mean, what you're saying is bringing up like some of the comments we've received on some of the past dive videos, people kind of calling out how like I can be better at certain things, like being more calm or not kicking up so much stuff on the bottom, not touching the bottom so much. Sometimes I like to touch the animals. I'm like getting a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that part of me will ever go away, of me wanting to kiss and cuddle the animals. Or they call it molesting the animal.
We have to be mindful of those things, but I do believe
you're
there's a fun and in a healthy way, that can happen.
But you're right, like not everyone should be touching the starfish like I was doing, you know what I mean? But like I was just a kid, you could say, like, it's my first starfish, or like no one yelled at me when I was little, kind of thing, or I don't have a good story on why I am the way that I am, but
I understand, again, it as individuals, we do have a responsibility, I believe, to protect and care for. But then again, on a global scale, I don't want to get political, but things are happening on a grand scale to, but for you picking up that starfish and just holding it for a second and putting it back is minuscule. So there's perspective there.
Compared to water being on the stock market.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
It's okay. But again, to me, the appreciation, one way it's shown is by doing and being, and then I keep praying, and that's that's for me is enough.
My ego wants to be like, when you pray, are you saying please? Are you saying thanks? Or do you kind of talk to like him or them, or she, or whichever way you see it? Do you speak to it or them, or like, do you speak to God in a way that's like, hey, what's up, man? Or like how would you describe your prayers?
If in fact God is all knowing, then it won't matter.
Yes.
It just happens.
I'm again touched. Again, you're channeling the creator. I was also reminded of this, that like creator knows what we need and what we want. It knows everything. You're like, oh my God, I forget. Thank you.
So no matter how the conversation, I mean, it just happens. For me, it just happens. So in all honesty, kind of yes, in a way, as we are talking right now. I mean, it's not like, hey, God, help me out. No, it's not like that, but it is a touching
I've been there,
feeling to where, it just becomes something that you don't think about, but is happening. It's happening. And there's no denying it, though, that feeling. There's just not, so when it happens, I know it just happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been times where I've been denying its presence, you could say. Like I deny that it's there, like this isn't real. I challenge it. I've done things where like, oh, if you're real, then do this, this, and this. And like I've had my prayers answered, and still sometimes I'm like,
all right, if you're really there, are you really this loving? Or like, I was taught by someone, they were saying that in the Jewish faith, that the way they get close with God is through fighting him. Like they, like, I don't know how true that is, or, you know, what that person's religion was, or all those things. I don't remember any of those things. I was just really young, but I always resonated with that because I feel like that's how I got to know like God, you know, is by having that personal relationship and challenging, like, I want things to go this way, or like, if I was God, I would do this. And, you know, that's not really like, that's almost like blasphemy, right? By the same way, like, it was out of sheer love of like seeking to understand and to know, and genuine curiosity. And I think that from that seed of actually having genuine curiosity, that the personal relationship is like what that's about. It's not about a religion or a book or something that God's in the water, or God's in this, you know, or God's in everything and everyone, but more so about of just like, yeah, what you're like, kind of what's written on our heart, like from just being and just knowing without like storytelling and things like that.
Yeah, sometimes words won't come. In my experience, the feeling is more important. The awareness, you know, it has to be there. So the words may not mean as much, but again, being in touch with that spirit of you is important. And for me, again, that water brings that out for me. Water just brings it out. So now it's, again, you know, I can literally take a breath, go underwater, and my prayer begins. You know, my prayer begins. Whether it's let me make it to this spot, or let me go this far, or you know, let me just do this trick or whatever. You know, I don't ever really think about coming up. You know, I don't think about that. It happens, but I don't think about it. Again, I'm thinking about, you know, just that moment in and of itself. And a lot of times though too, those moments are just being quiet. That's all I want to do. Just be quiet. You know, and that's beauty for me. You know, and what is really strange now, I suppose, or I didn't make that connection before. I don't know. what's the Aquaman character, right? You know, with the telepathy, it's almost like, you know, when I'm on underwater somewhere, scuba diving, free dive, whatever, and I see someone else. Yeah, they're having fun. They're a little uncomfortable. Yeah, he's cool. Well, let me see. Well, what's going on? I know, I pick up these vibes. It's just, I don't know. I can't describe it, but I just feel like that. You know, I just feel like that. And it's just a wonderful feeling for me. You know, it really is. So I actually enjoy seeing people having fun in the water. I enjoy that. You know, no more than people walking down the street. On my walk this morning, people walking by, can see that people enjoy those activities, you know, and that's enjoy to see, you know, those type of things. But you know, it just touches me to my core, you know, to see people having fun in the water, no matter how it happens. But especially if it's below the surface. I love it. I just do. I just do. So.
I appreciate you coming here and spending this time with me. I don't know if I told you, but I did I self-served myself combo yesterday.
I noticed.
Yeah, I had frog face for like what seemed like the rest of the day yesterday. I'm just now like kind of starting to get back to regular. I wasn't able to have the full purge. I might have to do again soon, which kind of can be awful sometimes. For me right now, I think that it's a hard time because I've been eating really bad. You could say I've had like a lot of sugar, a lot of meat, and then like not drinking enough water, to be honest.
Well, you know, that is important.
I know I have
All
two
things.
books that I need to read. I have two books I need to read. They keep yelling at me. I know. I need to, but basically, like, I think that's what made the combo so hard yesterday. And I don't think that I drank enough water. But sometimes I like to do the dry combo, meaning I don't drink water because it does more of like an emotional cleanse. But sometimes it could just be so overbearing to like feel all that stuff that's been stuffed down. And then also not being able to get it all out. Because a lot of my stuff was like, my first purge, it was like phlegm. So I have a lot of mucus in my body that needs to kind of be cleared out. But my body feels really great now just to have like the peptides and just to have like that little bit. And I plan on doing Sananga. I keep feeling my left eye kind of needs it. It has some like splinters in my eyes kind of thing, you know, like I'm seeing things from an emotional lens instead of like a full spectrum peripheral aspect of seeing things as they are.
Yeah, offline, I got to talk to you about that.
Sananga?
Yeah.
I would love to talk about Sananga. Yes, so I do like the idea of wrapping up this call soon. I would like to possibly, stay in my garb, you could say, my work clothes. And I want to do another live stream on YouTube. I'm going to do this Teresa Crabtree message. It was buried in my email. Apparently, I've never opened it. And I've been doing this new thing where I'm printing them out and I'm reading them out loud. And the stuff that I skimmed it or whatever, I landed on an ironic part. And I feel like I'm supposed to read it out loud. So I saw that one part about smoking in particular. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and read that live and, for the first time kind of thing. It's a message from like June, but I think that the message is very prominent. And I'm kind of like feeling called to like, because she's kind of talking about how it's like based on a period of time or whatever. And I just like almost want to rephrase it kind of because like, if you would look at it from a perspective of recapping what happened last year or like, now that this is a new year coming from that space, when I go live with the message, it might make a little bit more sense. And maybe I'll also add some my own words after doing the message if I can remember, maybe while going along. I'm not fully sure yet. But that is my plan. I definitely need to clean this bathtub, dude. This thing's like so stained from doing so many things, especially like not actual plants. This is like a prepackaged thing to add to your bath. I'm not really someone who really is an advocate or a supporter of things like that. I was trying this out. They were advertising it as a certain way and just energetically, it's just not lining up. So I would rather just collect some plants and forage and then do that plant bath that way. Speaking of plant bath, dude, like if you ever have the chance of going out of country again, I will highly encourage you to have a plant bath. As a matter of fact, there's actually a guy in Miami, Dr. Combo. He does plant baths. I would highly suggest you. It's $150 and he takes you show up with a bag of ice, he puts it in a bucket, and he'll go with you on the lands and you pick up your plants and then you break up the plants yourself with him and you do your prayers as you're breaking them up. And then he does Olympia, like a cleanse. Oh my God, Dallas, like no drugs, you know what I mean? No marijuana is what I'm mainly getting at. Like I'm not on anything. And oh my God, the emotional releases of that's coming out when he brought that cold water on my chest, like all of that buried heartache stuff, you know what I mean? Highlighter, like all of that stuff just started coming out. And just like, it felt really, really good to go through that cleanse. It was kind of hard to surrender. I'm basically sitting in a chair in a bathing suit and like the Olympia is happening. But I just really, really love that experience of working with like, you could say like a professional shaman, he's trained from his, the Kafan, a bunch of different people. He's from Venezuela initially. But I've loved learning about combo from him. If it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for God, did I ever tell you that story, how he came into my life, like with my dad?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. That's an unbelievable story.
Yeah, it's touching, very touching. Yeah. So yeah, it's
dude,
a blessing that, we, and I say we, there's a group that seems that, I'll just say it has become your following. And
Team Trina.
Yeah. And I'm happy to be considered part of that. I think what you're doing is amazing. And I want to help you do more. especially the underwater stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're counting down the days before we're going to be underwater again. I am feeling a pull. It could be my ego unable to let it go, or maybe there's someone who's curious. I'm just going to say the story. I was on the phone with my dad, telling my dad, Papi, I want to no longer be a model. I'm done with this. I'm tired of entertaining. I've made it IMDb. I'm on a book cover. It doesn't matter to me anymore. I want to do something else. I want to be a shaman. I want to serve combo and I want to learn how to serve ayahuasca and do all these things. And I was kind of joking, but I also totally meant it, like in the bottomness of my heart. And in that moment, my dad said, because my dad's not like what we would consider a believer, you know what I mean? He's still agnostic, still questioning, very childlike. And he's like, you're not going to believe this, but someone just drove in front of me and it says Dr. Cambo on his car. And I'm like, Bobby, it's a sign. I'm going to find drcambo.com right now. And sure enough, like the next few days, I booked him for a combo session. I loved it so much. I had a second combo session the next day. And I was like, how do I learn to serve this? And he told me, you're going to have to sit with the medicine a lot. And he asked me to come be part of his circles by bringing friends there. And then I could be present. As a fact, that just reminded me, you were one of the first people that came with me to him, and I got to learn and watch you go through your experience, and my dad, and God, that was just super amazing. And like, I haven't really done anything like that with him since. I was the one and only time, but I did go on to get trained. I had been guided to book this other person. I never thought I would ever book another person. I know for a fact I haven't told you this one. I didn't think I would ever book another Cambo person, and I found this woman. And she served combo, and her name's Catherine Hemsfield. And she's like, honestly, used to be a psychiatrist and a social worker. And she went to me combo and things like this. And she served me combo for my 6th time. And she's the first person. She said, do you want me to come in the bathroom with you? And I didn't know that was something I was interested in or was available to me, because Jose just doesn't do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I let this lady be there with me, and I basically have like a mini seizure, like my eyes are rolling in the back of my eyes, and the medicine wants to take me, and she's a psychic medium, or that's what she does for a living, right? So she's kind of telling me some information, and she's holding space for me being there, and she helps me like get into the bathtub after I get the medicine off, because it was just such an intense experience. But the scars that were left on my body that day, it was interesting. It was like a sun and a moon. The scabs were literally the symbol of the sun, which is a circle with a dot in it. And I thought that was interesting because she definitely has like those witchy vibes, and that made me wonder about like the Akashic records and like quantum mechanics and stuff like that, past lives, little nerdy stuff like that. And this lady, she's like, hey, my trainer who taught me how to serve this is coming to Florida soon, and she's offering a program for $900. And I went for it, and it ended up being a really beautiful experience. There ended up being some bad news that ended up coming about her partner and things like this, in the community. However, I still have a lot of great respect for him, for Victor. I had this one experience, Dallas, where I didn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't go to the bathroom, and I couldn't throw up. I was just tingling all over, and my hands became stuck like this, like automatically closed like this. And he's like, he taught me, he said, ask Combo to help you. And so he was like one of the first people that were like really big pushers on me talking to the medicine. And then later on, I had a lot of other, you could say, medicine facilitators of like these ancient shamanic practices, or whatever you want to call it, like combo, ayahuasca, all these things. And they all taught me the same thing of like talking to your medicine, having that personal collection that basically it's not about the taita, it's not about the shaman as much as it is about your personal relationship with creator and the medicine itself and the spirit of the medicine. And I've been looking into, this is really awesome. I'm so excited to tell you this. You're actually the first person I'm telling this. Dallas, I've been looking into creating a psychedelic church. I've recently found out the legal requirements, and it is considered a Eucharist, basically, like it's a sacrament that we are taking. There's so many. There's this company called Maps, and I was exploring their website, and they list every church that exists and that has ever existed kind of thing. And they have different Eucharist of, I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm sorry, but it's basically where you eat like a sacrament, like where you eat and you take the body of Christ, kind of like that. But they are representing like that you take peyote or marijuana or whatever is considered medicine, you know, is considered medicine through their lineage, and as it should be, really, in my opinion. However, again, the legalities of calling things medicine and things like this, yes, but that's kind of the goal, is to operate from that place. And also, Dallas, is also a blessing to share with you. I have recently, you could say, interviewed off the record, like not in public, right? I spoke with this man named Robert Shree or something like this, Bob Shree. He ran this thing called Source Point Therapy. My current hands-on body healer had told me about him and his work. And I didn't know that he had so much experience with psychedelics and things like this, and the community that he was part of. It, like, in my opinion, he was a part of a pretty prestigious group of people who were doing these ceremonially. And he described how there was like these 3-hour integration circles that would happen after ceremony. And I feel like that component is really missing in a lot of these facilities. So that's something that's very important to me, is incorporating that part of coming from safety, and also from like the church point of that it's like donation. It's not about paying $2,200 or whatever, even though that, like, that's totally worth it. And I've paid, you know, big money, thousands of dollars kind of thing, to go be part of retreats where it includes the food, the housing, you know, and things like that, and also all the different ceremonial aspects. I would love to do that. And I also love the idea of, like what we were talking about before, of being like a tour guide, and then bringing people on my groups. So like, all right, we're going to go to Peru and we're going to go sit with Salvia Diborium, or we're going to go to Africa and we're going to work with Ibogaine, you know, like actually doing it from the professional standpoint. I'm not saying I'm going to like video journal every single little thing, but there might be some people that would be interested, and I would be someone who would grant permission for them to do so, as long as like the tribes or the lineages were completely okay with that. But I think that that's a very important factor. Like, I've recently learned about a certain tribe that lives out in Mexico, and I want to say Arizona too, but I'm not fully certain, you know, so I don't really want to speak from a place of thinking I know kind of thing. But basically, they're the carriers of the Bufo alvarius. And I'm interested in going there and learning how to gather medicine, and it's becoming available to possibly participate in that. And I'm trying to do what I can, you know, to get the resources financially, especially to, like, you know, take time off of work and go there in the immersion for like 10 days or whatever, and to have the experience. And yeah, I'm very happy to like share all those things with you. But basically, that's where I've been at, and I've been considering, mainly because of how much it's helped me. And one more thing that is intense to mention is, honestly, the medicine of, God, maybe I should be saying, like, I feel like I'm almost should be using a different word, but this is just the way I was taught, that ayahuasca is medicine. That's how I was taught in the Amazon and things like this. But lysergic acid, even though like it was originally created with the intention of working with schizophrenics, for me, the ergot, or whatever you want to call like the basic of the structure of this, like I would like it to be like a professional place. It seems like there's already been facilities who have done this, and I like the benefit of that, because you're guaranteed to get the thing that you think that you're going to take, the sacrament that you think you're going to take, right? You're not getting some street drug or something that someone played with chemistry, like reading the anarchist cookbook or something ridiculous that is absolutely false information kind of thing, right? And then again, like having the right container, you could say the right space, sacred space, and management, right? You have like you have a psychotherapist on property, or different things, you know, so that each person can go into their sensations. Because I imagine and hold true to my heart that lysergic was so important to my healing, because in trauma, certain parts of my brain weren't talking to each other. So when I had worked with this, it had allowed me to have all these parts communicate with themselves. And for me, it was almost like taking an ADHD medication, where I was like, oh my God, I'm my true self right now. And this is amazing. And I can feel full function, and I'm not shy, and I'm confident, and things like that. And I imagine that's how like ethanol or alcohol was at one point, you know, to some people like a medicine to them. However, I think that times are changing. I don't really agree that it should be done from like a certain, like you could say governmental place. Like I don't really want it to come from like you could say like a military vibes, or you don't want to go into like a ketamine clinic and it's got these military vibes kind of thing, you know, where people are like hard or whatever. I don't know how to describe that language, but you kind of want to have like play, right? Like maybe having some sensory things, like maybe float tanks, or like maybe sensational things. Maybe someone has a hard time with touch, so maybe they get to go inside a ball pit of balls. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't care if someone steals this idea kind of thing, but I just think that these would be like integrative processes that would be important, and also like an establishment that would be open that has like integrative processes. Maybe it's on my bucket list. I just realized, you know, I've never been to any of those legal psychedelic churches. So it would be an honor to actually like, hey, what's going on over here? Actually, that's a lie. I went to Soul Quest. I did not ingest a sacrament there. But I did have a really interesting moment where I was the one chosen to sage, you could say, and cleanse everyone. And I thought that was interesting because they passed me this giant feather fan, which was like so amazing, like giant, that I just got to like bless and like pray and just be the person that did that. And I was just so touched. I was like, oh my God, like I just felt like on stage because of God kind of thing, like God blessed me, or like I was seen, like who my soul is or whatever. And like, it was just really amazing. And my ego definitely holds very dearly. Like that I was picked, you know, and it wasn't, I wasn't like pick me, you know what I mean? Like I was like picked out, and I ended up meeting some really amazing people. But yeah, I just wanted to share.
Understandable. It just seems though, you know, as far as the, I guess I don't know, a medical or clinical aspect of this, you know, it really has exploded. There's so many opportunities out there, you know, for people to heal themselves. Research is important. People are important too. So yeah, finding that certain practitioner or a clinician or, you know, of that sort is important. Having people in your quote circle is important. And now with all the resources that we have available, you know, there's quite a lot of opportunity out there for so many to not only get the help that they may need, but for others to actually provide that help to them. And that's the aspect that I hope to become more a part of, is learning for myself to provide that help for others. And so this can be a wonderful opportunity, in which is why I'm actually quite inspired and happy to work with you.
Oh man, what you were saying also hit home again, of like, it takes one to know one, right? Like if we had not gone through our sufferings or our internal things, right, we wouldn't be able to tell like, hey, that person's suffering from that abuse right now, or wow, that person's really hard on themselves. One way that this expressed itself for me, like when I went through this training to become a Reiki master, and in Reiki too, it's kind of all about shadow work, which has to do like all the things that we reject about ourselves, we don't like about ourselves. And something that was like taught is like, if we're pointing at something and saying we don't like that, like a lot of times, like we have the three fingers pointing back at us kind of thing. But like, I don't know, like it can be different things, you know, it can be like, oh, I don't like that person's bossy. But then like maybe we're really bossy. We hate seeing that trait in someone else. It can also be inverted too, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I don't like rich people, but like it has to do more so like a subconscious belief system, a shadow, unconscious. That's also why it's called shadow. It's unconscious, that like, oh, I was taught that rich people are bad people, or that they're not nice, or they had to do evil deeds to get this, you know, and sometimes it takes like a reprogramming of mind. So again, the take one to know one had come to mind of what you said, you know, again, like oftentimes in the moment, it's like, we're all mad and we're talking back, you know, why is this happening? Da, da, da. But when we, like I was saying earlier, when we go backwards, it's like, oh, if I didn't suffer that, you know, I wouldn't be able to relate to that person. That person's like my family now, because we have been through the same stuff, and we're walking together in this, you know, we're all going to the same place. There's multiple ways to get to the same place, and we're all getting there, you know, so.
Yeah. You know, it's, you know, a big place, this planet. And, you know, we all have a role. You know, a lot of the cultural aspects of things, are quite challenging, obviously. But I do believe in a core that, people want to be happy and live happy lives, and for me personally, especially in the place I'm in now, glad that, to this point of the journey, obviously, more to come, but still inspired yet, like, I, haven't been in a long time, I suppose. Again, the one core though, brings me back to water, 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 water. And so, with that going forward, with the things we've talked about and wanting to work on, there is a medical aspect of it too that I think just, to people's core,
Medical aspect of being in the
that they
water.
can, yeah, that they can identify with.
Watsu, dude. Watsu.
Exactly. That's what I was actually getting at. That I think that's a
I would love to do that.
wonderful therapy to explore, and which is something that I've become interested into learning more about.
You also triggered this idea of like epigenetic memory, like ancestral memory, about like I don't know if you ever heard, like, supposedly there's a theory by Darwin where we evolved from the water, that we were like fish and that we like adapted. And I always felt like our skin is like similar to a dolphin skin. So like your love for water definitely had me starting to feel like ideas of, like, again, the epigenetic memory of how far back your soul goes, kind of thing. Like I always say, imagine how many people in your family made love before you existed, and like feeling that in your bones, like you are all those people, kinds of thing, So like, again, like what was their relationship with the water? Were they like, how much in the water were they, or like all those things?
Well, I can certainly tell you that, amongst my family, me, I'm the weird one.
You're the water baby of the family.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now I do have another brother who's actually born a few years before me, also in February 2nd.
Nice.
But he's not like the water like I am, that's for sure. So yeah, I mean, it goes back a ways. I never really kind of thought of it, where this came from. Yeah, I mean, you hit a fleeting thought, but I mean, I've just always like, well, this is me.
Yeah.
I don't have to explain it, really.
Sometimes
I even can't,
Yeah.
but
It
now
speaks for itself.
I will admit though, for a long time, I mean, it was something I really kind of never talked about openly, especially in a forum like this.
Yes, sir.
But it would just, happen. I would just be, at a spring, I'd be at a pool, I'd be at the ocean or whatever. And, that in and of itself sometimes was a little awkward. But I was just there, and so, looking back at some of those experiences, yeah, it actually kind of reinforced some of my feeling now, in that I was always able to, escape when I wanted to, or be social, in the same place, and all I needed was water. That's all I needed, So, the sharing aspect though was always there. I would get those curious questions about, hey, how's this? And how do you do that? And because I was different. I was actually very different for obvious reasons. And so those things growing up, kind of just reinforced, I think, part of the feeling now, to where it's solace. It's gratitude. It's, just thanks, for the element and me being present in it. I was able to find all of that. Some heartache also, and pain comes with everything. But for me, it was more about the joy, and just being and feeling complete. that I just, can't escape, can't deny, and enjoy very much. Yeah, well, others kind of bring that out. Like you said, it's almost, again, in sport, people are doing these amazing things, whether it's basketball, football, whatever sport you enjoy. And, I enjoy them all.
Wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling. Yeah. And so swimming, is the same thing for me. It's a spectator sport, except that, now because it's underneath the surface, people think it's weird. Well, we are kind of weird because it's not really our element, but I mean, then again, it's what we're made of.
Yeah.
So, okay, now I've just become more comfortable with, it's just me. I'm not trying to be weird or anything like that. It's just me. Enjoy yourself. Yeah, I will. No doubt about it. I will. I will enjoy myself. And I just hope you do too. But yeah, it's fun to be amongst people who are like-minded, obviously. But then, growth becomes, so much more beyond that. I mean, we can talk about the obvious things of how much water here on Earth and all of that stuff. But when it comes down to it, the element itself, there's nothing like it.
My ego is like, the same can be said for all the elements.
Yeah.
Dallas, this has been really, really fun. I think I'm going to start draining the tub and cleaning this and then putting fresh hot water, and I'll come back and do a live reading the Teresa Crabtree. And then I'm going to start my my lovely day off here. And it's a pleasure
I appreciate the opportunity to join in your day.
This is not the last, dude. Not the
No,
last.
I hope
Okay.
not. We certainly have more work to do.
Oh, yes.
More to create. So that keeps me inspired for sure. Definitely
Yes.
more to create.
I'm going to also encourage everyone to leave in the comments if you have any questions for Dallas or me. Maybe we can touch that on our next episode. I love you, Dallas. Thanks for having
Take
me.
care.
All right.